Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video on Supergirl and the Arrowverse. Today we're going to be talking about a potential new show that could be coming in the future. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future DCTV videos later this year. So as I've said in previous videos recently, we've got a lot of ideas and I'm making all of these videos because these are ideas that have been in the back of my mind for a while. I've talked about some of them briefly before and I've talked about this one previously, but we're going to be talking about it from a different perspective this time, and I think you guys are going to be very interested in this idea, so please be sure to stick around throughout the entire video until the very end. Before we start, I do have an announcement. Please be sure to become a member of the channel by clicking the join button and becoming a super friend today. The announcement is we're going to be doing a members live stream early next week on Monday, so if you become a member by Monday you will be included in the live stream. You can come join live, talk to me face to face online and also meet your fellow members. So become a super friend today by clicking the join button and supporting the channel. But for now, let's go ahead and jump into today's topic. Now, today we're going to be talking about a potential spin-off show. Now, this show would technically be a Supergirl spin-off, and it would be a continuation of the Arrowverse as we know it. Now, as you guys know, the Arrowverse isn't looking in good shape right now. We have Gotham Knights coming and potentially Justice EU, but that's pretty much it. And literally we only have Superman, Lois left after the Flash and Stargirl finish their final seasons this year and next year as well for the Flash. But obviously we do have a couple of shows in the great extended Arrowverse, that being Titans and Doom Patrol, and some potential future HBO Max shows like Green Lantern. But with that in mind, like I said in my previous video about the Legion of Superheroes potentially coming, I think a POWERGIRL show would be a great show to have. Now, why do I think this and where do I think it will be? That's what we're going to explain in this video. So I've talked about this before. I theorized that potentially with Superman and Lois setting up that they aren't in the greater Arrowverse, they are on a different Earth rather than Earth Prime. They have said there is no other superheroes that are currently active apart from Superman. So we've obviously had lots of theories about who could show up on the show, who could be the second Arrowverse hero to show up. Well, we've obviously talked about POWERGIRL being that person, being a Supergirl doppelganger from this Earth, and obviously if they don't want to step on the toes of Supergirl, the TV show with Melissa Benoist, you would cast a new actor. You would say, oh, this is not a doppelganger, it's not a lookalike of Melissa, because obviously they would have to get Melissa. However, it's an alternate version of Supergirl from Superman Lois's Earth, and that would be POWERGIRL. Now, why would I say POWERGIRL? Because in the comics, normally POWERGIRL is an alternate version of Supergirl from another Earth, and this is literally what we would have on Superman Lois, since they said they're not on Earth Prime. And for a long time people have been speculating, is POWERGIRL going to show up on Supergirl? Well, she never actually showed up, and we did have alternate versions of Supergirl, but they were a little bit different. And so this show would be a kind of Supergirl show of sorts, but different. And different in the way that it would be played by a different actor. I have no idea and I don't have any fan castings as to who that actor could be, but it's someone that would be good for the Supergirl role, I guess akin to what Melissa did on Supergirl. And another difference would be the costume. Obviously POWERGIRL, if you guys are a follower of the comics and you've read anything to do with POWERGIRL, or you've even seen her in Justice League Unlimited, you know that POWERGIRL has a different costume. She has a white and red costume rather than a blue and red costume, which is obviously traditional for the House of L and for Supergirl specifically. And so I like the differentiation in costumes because it really shows that they are kind of a different character, and so that would be a big difference from Supergirl, as well as obviously having different supporting characters to go alongside them. They can dig deep into the comics and literally pick out whatever character they want, anything related to POWERGIRL, or it can just be someone new, like it doesn't matter. Supergirl kind of took a lot of characters from the comics and made them you know, their own characters like Martian Manhunter, Brainiac 5, and then they also did some big changes, like they introduced a future descendant of Neura Now, that being Nia Now. So she technically had a relation to the comics, but she wasn't a character that was created before. She is an original character to Supergirl. So if they ever decided to do such a show as Power Girl, they could do that. Like, you can just take anything that you want and make it your own, and I think that's what they would do. And they have done on literally every Arrowverse show. But I would say it would be best to set this in the Superverse, or so we're calling it, you know, the Superman Lois universe. Yes, it's still within the Arrowverse, but it would be set on that same Earth as Superman Lois, because this Power Girl could totally show up on Superman Lois, and that's the way to introduce Supergirl's doppelganger, or Supergirl's alternate version of herself from Superman Lois's Earth first. Now, this is similar to the way that the Flash was first introduced, because if you guys remember back in Arrow, Barry was first introduced to us as an audience on that show, and then they had a backdoor pilot on Arrow, and then they created the Flash afterwards. So a similar thing could happen here with someone like Power Girl showing up, or to be completely honest, it could be any character. It doesn't even need to be Power Girl, just anyone that they want to introduce. They can do it first on Superman Lois, see and gauge what the audience reaction is, and then potentially spin off like they've tried to do many times in the past with the Arrowverse. They tried to do that with Painkiller on Black Lightning, also Green Arrow and the Canaries on Arrow, and they did that with Arrow and the Flash, and then obviously Legends of Tomorrow as well. So sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't work, but that's just the way it goes, especially in the TV world, and how crazy things are right now on the CW. Really don't know if anything is actually going to come to fruition. But yeah, I would set it in the Superverse. She could cameo on Superman Lois, and that's a way to continue crossovers, which obviously are up in the air right now, considering half of the Arrowverse is gone, and we're pretty much only going to have a few shows left. And so would this be on the CW, or would it be on HBO Max? So obviously, like I've said in my previous video, I think the CW at some point are going to want to have some original programming, and if they're smart, they would go back to the Arrowverse catalog and create more shows, and obviously it would be under their banner. They would be able to sell it to different streaming networks, and so it would be very profitable for them to make Arrowverse shows, but obviously under Nexstar's kind of control, so they can sell it in any way that they want. And so I would say, yes, Nexstar might want it for the CW, however, a Power Girl show, especially if the CW does end up throwing away the entire Arrowverse, we could be looking at it coming out on HBO Max. And if Superman Lois, say, got cancelled by the CW, I would definitely see someone like James Gunn, who just took over DC Studios, actually acquiring the show and bringing it over to HBO Max. Now, I think that's a possibility only because I think James Gunn is a fan of the Arrowverse and DC as a whole, and I think it would be a huge shame, and especially the people behind the show and the people that love the show, if Superman and Lois got cancelled, that would be it for the Arrowverse. So I think it would be picked up, and so potentially HBO Max could be a good place for such a show as Power Girl, considering the new leadership at DC. Yes, the leadership at Warner Bros. Discovery isn't very much so into, you know, these kind of smaller characters. They're into Superman. They just announced that Henry Cavill's coming back as Superman. They're into Batman, they're into the Flash, they're into Green Lantern, but they're not into characters like Batgirl, which I guess doesn't bode very well for a show like Power Girl, considering she's like on a similar level to Batgirl, however a bit smaller. But then again, you have to realize like they are still going ahead with that Blue Beetle film, and he's, I guess, on a similar level to Batgirl as well. So it isn't all doom and gloom, I don't think. But at the end of the day, I have to say, in my opinion, I would love a Supergirl spin-off, and I think a Power Girl show would be awesome. Even if there wasn't a show that actually happened, I think just seeing an alternate version of Supergirl on Superman and Lois, considering they created this new entire world, they have a blank slate, I think would be the perfect opportunity to kind of introduce and play with characters from the past and go fully comic book with it. And I think something like this would excite fans to no extent. Like, people have been asking for crossovers. People love crossovers, and I think it would be terrible if we got no future crossovers or no new awesome DC characters coming in to Superman and Lois, which is going to be one of the last remaining shows on the CW that is huge and is Arrowverse related. So we'll have to wait and see, but you guys have to remember we still have the Titan Stargirl crossover that will happen on Titan, so I guess there is still potential for future crossovers. So not everything is all doom and gloom right now, but a lot of stuff just really isn't looking too bright with the CW. So I don't know how optimistic I am about these theories to do with spin-off shows, but I want to put the videos out there. I want to get those ideas out there, and potentially someone might notice at some point, especially when the CW realizes they've made a huge mistake. Obviously the new owners I'm talking about here. So for now, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, subscribe and turn on notifications. It would really help out the channel if you do all of that. Also, please be sure to become a member by clicking the join button. Like I said earlier, you can become a super friend and be featured on an upcoming members live stream, which will be happening Monday night UK time. But for now, I'll leave you guys here. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.
I see red.